Heyo guys, I hope you're all doing fairly fantastic today. Let's just go ahead and dive right into the question I'll be trying to answer. And that question is this: what is the best way for you to become a better photographer? But first, we skate. So I'm actually filming this several days later, and we went from like 80 degrees to, as you can see, we had our very first snow in Kansas City. Pretty wild little switcheroo there. In this video, I'm not going to talk about gear, I'm not going to talk about settings, I'm not going to talk about rules of photography. Whoop, almost flipped. Yeah, in this video, I'm going to sidestep all of that, and I'm going to try to get to the core of what I think it means to become a better observationist. Really, that's what I think photography is. Photography is as simple as observing and recording the world that you see around you. During this video, just forget about the gear. Forget about the rules, just focus on walking around and observing. Begin walking around and looking for beauty in places you normally wouldn't. And don't ever take anything for granted, ever. Because I promise you guys, even if you can't see it right now, guys, slow down and start taking the time to look, because I promise you, composition and beauty are everywhere. Minor White is a photographer that really exemplifies this ability to not take anything for granted. Just look at these pictures he took. He literally makes paint chipping on a wall interesting. Now, it was Miner's ability to really slow down and observe his surroundings that created this photograph, and his ability to spot form and composition in, of all things, chipped paint comes with thousands of hours of practicing awareness. I don't know if you guys have read this. There's this book. It's a wonderful book by Malcolm Gladwell. It's called The Outliers. Now Malcolm Gladwell, in his studies and his writing, he wrote down this rule, which he finds to be consistent and universal. 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is what it takes to master anything. So if you want to be great at pot making, 10,000 hours. If you want to be a master of skateboarding, 10,000 hours. If you want to be a master baker, 10,000 hours. But you guys are probably here to learn about videography and photography. And so what I'm telling you, if you want to get better at what you are doing, if you want to be really great at taking photos, if you want to be a master photographer, what you have to do is you have to put in the hours. You have to log the hours. Because until you start doing that, my friends, you're not going to be able to grow at all. You know, whether it's just walking through the streets taking photos, or going to this event and taking photos, whether it's asking family members, hey, can I take your pictures? Malcolm Gladwell's rule is a fantastic starting point. All right, and to speak specifically to photography, I'm going to reference the philosophy of Henri Cartier-Bresson. In an interview he did, the interviewer took out a book of his photos and he started sharing them with Henri. And he asked Henri, he was like, now why did you take all these photos like you did? And Henri actually replied, he said, I don't know. And he goes on to explain why he doesn't know. And this is when he talks about his philosophy. He doesn't even call himself a photographer, and he refers to his camera as simply a tool. He believes he is just a person who goes out and is observant and uses his tool to capture these pictures that he sees in his mind. And one of the reasons he said he doesn't know why he took each given photo, the reason he doesn't know why he crouched or why he got up high, is because at that point that he took the photo, all the decisions he made were in the very back of his mind. Every composition decision that he made while taking that photo was instinct. And the reason I'm telling you this, guys, is because I think this correlates directly with Malcolm Gladwell's rule. You guys are gonna find the more you go out and shoot, the more you work with couples, the more you go out and photograph events, I think you're gonna find that you start to develop an instinct. Sure, at first you're gonna be thinking about the rule of thirds, you're gonna be thinking about each composition. How can this photo look better? How can I tell this story? But trust me, the more that you guys do that, the more that you think about it, the more that it is simply going to become instinct. And now, I'm not saying that you should be thoughtless while you're running around photographing. A good intuition about what makes a good photo should never negate thoughtfulness. And being thoughtful is as simple as being alert to your surroundings and their relation to you and everything around you as you're walking around. As you're photographing a job or just roaming the streets, be aware of what the world is offering you at any given moment And be ready to click the shutter, because once a moment is gone, it is gone. Unless you do something about it, unless you act, unless you take the picture, that moment will be gone. So always be aware of this. Be thoughtful. So I love this little scene right here. I love the colors going on. The brick, the green, the yellow, right here. We're gonna back up and take that same shot. Sometimes there's something that I see that I really enjoy that I can't seem to balance out in a good photo. Translating everything that you see into a well-articulated photograph is not easy. Sometimes as I'm like walking around, there's things that I see that I love that even this day I still can't turn into a good photograph. So when you see something that you really love, it's really important to pause and think about it for a second. Why do you like it? What is it about this scene that you really enjoy? Is it the color? Is it the light? Is it the texture? Is it the way these objects are resting in relation to each other? There's a lot of different characteristics about any given scene that you can think about. And sometimes these characteristics that we really enjoy about any particular scene have to be drawn out by composition. They have to be drawn out by composition, they have to be drawn out by thoughtfulness, and it takes a little bit of patience to be able to pause, reflect, and then figure out how to translate an image. And sometimes it can be frustrating. It's where that intuition comes into play, because sometimes drawing out the characteristics that you love about any given scene isn't always easy, and it takes a little bit of intuition, it takes a little bit of patience, and it takes a knowledge of composition and how you can use composition to create that interesting photograph that you're going for. It comes with the hours, which are followed by the instincts, which give you the ability to make quick judgments and decisions regarding an image in front of you. And if we think about 10,000 hours, I think I've been taking photos for 5 years now, and I don't think I've clocked 10,000 hours even. And I really don't know when I'm gonna clock 10,000 hours. So I'd say I'm still a Padawan, guys. But over time, as you're walking around, as you're taking photos, over the 10,000 hours that you're gonna put in, you're definitely gonna develop your style. You're definitely gonna find out what you like to photograph, because you're gonna look at all your images and you're gonna see a lot of the same things that you're taking photos of. So right now I'm gonna walk around for a little bit, and I'm gonna slow down, and I'm gonna try to explain to you guys and give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'll try to break down my photographs and kind of explain the thought process behind, you know, my composition. All right, so currently this building is being torn down right around the corner, so I'm gonna walk over there and we're gonna take a couple pictures. One thing I'm doing is I'm walking around this building and I'm trying to find, you know, my favorite angle. Probably a lot of noise, and I don't know if you can hear this audio, but it's really important that you do that. Especially if you find a scene interesting. Take a minute to walk around and see what kind of angles you can capture. Like I said, you have so many exposures. Try a lot of different things. Take a lot of different photos. You have the space on your card. You know, maybe squat, maybe get up higher, maybe go to the side, maybe go to the other side. You know, just try a lot of different things. I already know that I'm really gonna love this shot right behind me. I'm gonna go ahead and take the picture and show you guys real fast. I love framing things. I love it when my subject is captured inside a frame and the eye follows immediately to the subject. So with that shot, you can see that I framed the building in between the two buildings in the background. That's because I wanted the eye to follow immediately to the middle building, the building that's being torn down. Honestly, it's such an interesting building that I think it would follow there anyways, but it's always nice to frame your photos. This photo right here is similar. You know, I'm framing that white building in the background, Abdiana, between these two red buildings, and your eye follows right down the alley to that building in the background. And I like to utilize it. And so when I'm walking around, I'm constantly like looking for frames, looking for a subject that is interesting that I can frame in between something else. If you look at photos like Vivian Mayer's, if you look at photos of Gary Vinograd's, you start to see that their framing all their subjects in between, you know, different objects in their frame. You know, they're using objects in the foreground or in the background to kind of encircle their photograph, and that's what brings your eye to the subject. This is constantly going on in the background in my mind when I'm walking around. And sometimes you see a really nice potential photograph, but something is missing. Something's not quite right. And like sometimes all it takes is like a side step to the left or a side step to the right to be able to really bring the photo together. But sometimes it's something that's missing, like, you know, an object or a person that needs to walk through the frame. Like right back there, I would have loved a person to be walking on the sidewalk to bring that photo together. But, you know, this is Kansas City, and sometimes it takes like 45 minutes for someone to walk by. So I didn't quite have the patience to wait for a person. But, you know, if you have more patience than me, sometimes it really pays off to wait. I mean, but that's what you learn with the hours that you put in. You learn that if a photo is almost there, you learn what you need to do to be able to bring it together. And just takes a little bit of time, just takes a little bit of work and patience, but you'll get there. All right, now there's a shot right here I really want to take. This parking garage with the thing sticking out of it. Now there's several ways you can frame this. You know, as I'm looking at it, I can already tell, you know, just kind of like walking, checking the angles. I can already kind of see like what I think is gonna work. Really, it's like if you see something interesting, it's important to walk around until your eye is satisfied. That's what's really important. You want to make sure your eye is satisfied. You know, that's kind of subjective. So, you know, maybe I'm right here, my eye is satisfied, but all the way over here, you would be like, yeah, I like that shot right there. So it's important about walking around your subject until you are satisfied with what you're going to be capturing. I really want to take a shot of these two things sticking out of the parking garage just because it's kind of interesting. I don't like this building here because it pushes your eyes all the way over here, just pushes your eyes to the right. I think what I'm going to come out here and do is I'm going to come out here, take the shot right here. So honestly, I use the sky as a frame, and so your eyes stick right there. And now I don't want to talk about composition because that is a different video entirely, but I wanted to kind of give you guys an example of these thought processes that are going on in my head. They're going on in the background. I'm not really thinking about it in the forefront of my mind, but they are happening. And when you guys start, these thought processes are probably going to be on the forefront of your mind because you are learning about composition, you're learning about lighting, you're learning how to use the settings in your camera properly. There really is a lot to learn, but once you start to become familiar with all of this, you don't really notice it, but it's always there. And that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. This building right here is like one of my favorite buildings in Kansas City, just because it's so thin. I've been walking around for an hour now and my fingers have lost a lot of their movement, so I think I'm gonna start heading back home. To circle around to what I was talking to you guys about before, to be a photographer is to be a professional observationist. So learning to be a better photographer is as simple as learning to open up your vision. This is beautiful. So learning to be a better photographer is as simple as learning to, you know, find joy and beauty in the ordinary, in the overlooked. I really do think the power of photography is the power to open up people's eyes and make them realize that these things that we see every day, that we walk past, paint on a wall, all these little moments are special. And one of the things that I love about photography is as you're putting in the hours, as you're practicing, you learn to see things in a different light and you grow a new appreciation for everything around you. I think that's one of my favorite things about my experience taking photos. It's really opened up a new world and I see things differently. That's one of the powers that you have as a photographer. And I think, you know, I think that's your job. Thank thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope it was helpful, and I hope it inspires you guys to get out in the street and start clocking some hours. And I really want to know what you guys think it means to be a better photographer, so just go ahead and share that with me down in the comments. But guys, it is 30 degrees out right now, and it is raining now. So if you found this video helpful, dude, please like and subscribe, because I'm out here. Anyways, I'll see you next week.